Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Austin's Anfield Angle, Episode 7, your AAA grade Liverpool FC podcast where passionate cop-fights resonate. I'm your host, DJ, and we're live from Austin, Texas once again. And this is the post Thanksgiving show, and we are back to our usual soccer schedules where we have weekend games and midweek games. So that means today's show will be the usual discussion topics. We will have the show in our typical few sections. We will cover the game that happened last weekend where Liverpool played Southampton. We'll cover the midweek game, which was the big game for Liverpool, which they took on Real Madrid at Anfield. And lastly, we will look at the preview to the upcoming weekend game, and that is Liverpool against Manchester City at Anfield, which what many people have dubbed calling it a early title decider. And that sets ourselves up for a very interesting weekend ahead. And we will start things off, as I said, with the first section of today's show, which is where we look back at the last weekend's Premier League results and Liverpool's game against Southampton. So, Liverpool beat Southampton by 3 goals to 2 at St. Mary's. It was a top versus bottom of the table clash. Southampton were bottom of the table at the time. They still are. Liverpool were top of the table at the time, and Liverpool still are even after that game. Liverpool at the time were without Trent Alexander-Arnold, having missed out due to injury. There were doubts about Virgil van Dijk, who actually had returned early from the international break before, causing a little bit of concern among Liverpool fans whether he would play in this game or not. Andy Robertson, who did play in midweek for Scotland the week before, he was a doubt because of fatigue issues. But I think with Kostas Tsimikas not being fit, Andy Robertson had to play the game. Alexis McAllister and Darwin Núñez were also doubts to start the game at the time, but they had games in South America, which was why there was some little bit of concern about jet lag and fatigue kicking in. Regardless, both they made it safely. They were fit for the game. Darwin Núñez did start the game. Alexis McAllister actually was on the bench at the time. So Liverpool kicked things off that game. Dominic Szoboszlai, he got a goal. Basically, it was a mistake from Alex McCarthy, Southampton's goalkeeper. Sorry, maybe not the goalkeeper. It was actually one of the defenders who gave the ball away during the press. And the goalkeeper was out of position, and Dominic Szoboszlai just curled the ball into the back of the net. Liverpool took the lead there, only for, I believe, Adam Armstrong to equalize just before halftime in the 42nd minute. And in the second half, Liverpool were a little bit shaken when they started, and Matheus Fernandes gave Southampton the lead at the time with a brilliant counterattack. And eventually, Liverpool were then on the back foot. Liverpool's pressure and intensity did increase the moment they took the lead. Mohamed Salah latched onto a long ball from, I believe, Ibrahima Konate. And the goalkeeper, Alex McCarthy, had rushed out to collect the ball. And Mohamed Salah just needed to get a touch on the ball, and the ball had changed trajectory and rolled into the back of the net. It was an interesting moment, a little bit of confusion between the defense and the goalkeeper there. Mohamed Salah, he's so quick, he's so sharp, and he was the quickest to the ball at the time. It was a brilliant touch, and I'm sure he didn't need to follow it through all the way in. It was basically just a touch on the right-hand corner of the penalty box, and the ball just rolled all the way into the goal. And next thing you know, it was 2-2. A couple minutes after that, in the 83rd minute, Mohamed Salah converted a third goal for Liverpool, his second of the night, through a penalty. Liverpool took the lead and hung on to that lead all the way to the final whistle. Liverpool winning the game 3-2. They did need the help of Coleman Kelleher again. He had to pull Liverpool to the rescue with some key saves late in that game. And once again, Kelleher has been absolutely outstanding for Liverpool FC this season. He's always been a deputy and he stepped in when needed. But in this case, I think he has outperformed everyone's expectation, and he's done so well, and he deserves every minute of game time he gets, and he definitely gives Alisson, to be put into question now whether Alisson can actually just come back and take his spot. Don't get me wrong, Alisson's a fantastic goalkeeper, but based on form, Kelleher might be the preferred choice right now. Regardless, that was Liverpool's result over the weekend. 3-2, big win. Liverpool were taking advantage of Tottenham Hotspur beating Manchester City by 4-0. So Liverpool had an opportunity there to go 8 points clear, and they did so following that win. Of course, Arsenal won during the week, during that weekend as well. But the biggest talk of the week was the 4-0 loss to Man City, giving Liverpool the opportunity to go 8 points clear on the top of the Premier League. So well done, Liverpool, there. There was no serious concern about injury at the time for any of the players. It was nice to see Wataru Endo step in and get a few minutes there of the game. And I think Gravenberch, once again, he's been outstanding in that role in the number 6. So much pace, so much calmness in midfield. He does really well. He helped Liverpool control the game for sure. The only minor concern I would say is Liverpool have been a bit more of a one-half team this season. There's been some parts of the season when they've only, had the conversion of chances, very successful in one half. Many times Liverpool would go into the halftime 0-0 or a goal down, and they'd come back in the second half. I think that's something that may be a shade of concern, just because it invites unnecessary pressure. But then again, that also depends on the quality of the opponent you're playing. Sometimes the opponent give you less space, give you less time on the ball. It's going to make it very much more challenging for Liverpool to dominate that midfield. But regardless, it's part of the risk of the strategies that they put out. And Liverpool have been quite fortunate to some extent, but also they have made the most of their opportunities whenever they could. So well done there for Liverpool. Mohamed Salah, like I said, he scored 2 goals, taking him to an all-time record for the Premier League for a Liverpool player to be at 164 goals. He's only 9 goals behind Thierry Henry, and I think he is on track to definitely smash more records. At the moment, Erling Haaland has got 12 goals this season in the Premier League. Mohamed Salah has 10. So he's just behind him. On the assists, Bukayo Saka has 8. Mohamed Salah has 6. So you can see that Salah is right behind these top players in the Premier League for his age at being 32. And he's definitely on track to break records with every game he has with Liverpool. So well done there, Salah. Arne Slot, credit to him again. He's got this team running like a well-oiled machine. They're pumping out results week in and week out. They've had a few injuries. Of course, the concern is if you do have more injuries, specifically to key players in key positions, it will definitely take a toll on the team. Liverpool have been fairly lucky to date. Of course, when you play more games and as the season goes on, you get more challenges with fitness, fatigue, and injuries. The good news is for Liverpool, Harvey Elliott is back in training. He was on the bench. Diego Jota is back. Trent Alexander-Arnold is expected to be fit for the midweek game, but at the time, Liverpool were definitely surpassing all expectations when they took on Southampton. Southampton, despite being bottom of the table, they can be a difficult team to break down. They gave Liverpool a hard time being at St. Mary's. However, Liverpool did come out on top and took advantage of that Manchester City slip up against Spurs. So Liverpool, top of the table at the end of that weekend, and they rolled into midweek before they took on Real Madrid. So in terms of performance-wise and my personal opinions, I think Liverpool didn't have too much to worry about against Southampton, especially in the first half. The second half, it was a little more challenging, especially when Southampton took the lead. Put Liverpool under a little bit of stress there, but with players like Salah, Nunes, Diaz, and all these guys with so much space in the attack, Southampton eventually broke down under all that pressure. So, well done to Liverpool. Good job, and top of the table at the end of the weekend. All right, guys. So we're gonna take a very short break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about the game against Real Madrid and how that went. We'll also talk about the result, the statistics. We'll probably touch a little bit about specific players, and we'll talk to you in a couple minutes. Welcome back, guys, to Austin's Anfield Angled on this Friday night. We are live from Austin, Texas, and we are now stepping into the second section of the show, a very exciting section where Liverpool took on Real Madrid in the Champions League in midweek. Liverpool beat Real Madrid by 2-0. And those were goals thanks to Alexis McAllister in the 52nd minute and Cody Gakpo with a very good header in the 76th minute. This game was expected to be a end-to-end match. Real Madrid were without Vinicius Jr. He did have an injury and he could not participate in this match. Real Madrid otherwise do have a few other injury issues. Danny Carvajal, he's already out with an ACL injury. Jude Bellingham is not really playing in good form. Ferland Mendy on left back is not doing too well as well. Luka Modric is 38 or 39 years old, and he was supposed to start the game. They're already without Tchouameni. I think Camavinga was also part of the starting 11, but he eventually got injured in the game. Kylian Mbappe was on the field. He was trying to attack Liverpool on that left wing, taking on Connor Bradley. So that was an expected weak point, given Mbappe is a former World Cup winner and he's an experienced player on the left wing. Connor Bradley is only 21 years old, but surprisingly, the game did not go as what many people predicted. Liverpool took the game by the scruff of their neck, and they pressed Real Madrid from the start. They pushed them all the way. They didn't give them space, no time on the ball. And, in a midweek Champions League game, you've got Anfield that's absolutely popping, and the crowd and the environment definitely played a huge role for Liverpool to drive that result. Um, of course, Andy Robertson was in the left back position, despite you know, having played quite a lot of games recently. He has been a little bit of a weak point for Liverpool as well, just maybe because he has not been performing as he has in previous seasons. My personal take, I think he's starting to get a little jaded, fatigued. The legs are starting to show. I mean, he is on the wrong side of 30 years old. And if you think about it, with the Jurgen Klopp heavy metal football that they used to play, Andy Robertson was one of those left backs that would be pushing up and down to support attacks, providing crosses, assists, and even scoring a few goals himself. So I think after doing that for so many years, I think it's pretty evident that his legs are starting to go a little bit. So Kostas Tsimikas is sometimes a very good deputy, but in this season, based on form, I think he is definitely, maybe a preferred choice for some games. Curtis Jones definitely deserves a mention. He's had a good upturn of form recently. He scored for England during the international break. He has definitely stepped up his game. He looks really light on his feet. He's very sharp with making passes and making runs in midfield. We already talked about Ryan Gravenberch earlier in the show, where he holds his position in that six, and he's got that ability to turn on players even before the pressure comes in. So just going back to the way the game had gone, Real Madrid, could not. They did push and try to attack Liverpool, but they just could not break down that defense. Konate was really strong. Van Dijk was really strong. And of course, the few times that they did get past the defenders, the goalkeeper, Coleman Kelleher, came to the rescue. This game, of course, Liverpool had pressed and tried to take the lead early on in the first half, and even midway through the first half, some really good efforts from Darwin Núñez, and I think it was Mohamed Salah with the other effort that was saved by the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper was Thibaut Courtois. So he is a former Chelsea goalkeeper, and he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Previously, when Liverpool had played Real Madrid, I think we have had significant challenges competing with Real Madrid just with the caliber of players they have. And this rolls back the years all the way back to 2017, 2018, when Sergio Ramos had injured Mohamed Salah in that first Champions League final. Real Madrid beat Liverpool by 3-1. Liverpool did play Real Madrid in the Champions League final a few years later again, and they lost by 1-0. Vinicius Jr. scoring that goal. And this was actually the third time that Liverpool were playing Real Madrid in the space of 5 years, I guess. So Liverpool were definitely aiming for some revenge here, having lost the last couple of games. The environment, like I said, Anfield, they were absolutely on top of their game. They were chanting, singing. The environment was definitely going to put some doubts into the opponent's minds, and make them doubt their ability to play in front of that very, very loud Anfield crowd. So in the first half, there were a few chances both sides, but the game was 0-0 at halftime. In the second half, Liverpool started putting a little extra pressure as they were attacking the Kop end. The first goal came thanks to Alexis McAllister. It was great passing play from the center of midfield. And I think it was Connor Bradley that played a nice 1-2. Alexis McAllister played a nice 1-2 with Connor Bradley. Getting into the penalty box before passing it into the bottom corner, beating Thibaut Courtois in that grounding pass. So it wasn't really a shot. He literally just passed the ball into the back of the net. So that was a very good, composed finish, despite all the pressure that the game has. And then Liverpool had multiple counterattacks. Where there were shots by Cody Gakpo, who came on for Luis Diaz. There were shots from Darwin Núñez. A few attempts. I think there's also an attempt on goal by Connor Bradley, who had a really good header, which was saved by Thibaut Courtois. There's one effort that was actually cleared off the line by, I'm assuming it's Asensio. It was a really good clearance off the line, and that just showed that the amount of pressure and intensity there was in the game. The good thing for Liverpool is, despite the game the way it went, there were two penalties. I think the first penalty was where Mbappe had won it, and it was a tackle by Andy Robertson who gave the penalty away. Mbappe missed the penalty. So, and not just missed, but I mean, Coleman Kelleher produced a fantastic save in the bottom left corner, diving to the bottom left corner of his goal, and he pushed the ball out, and Liverpool remained 1-0 in the lead at the time. That was a very critical moment to me, if you ask me. Real Madrid are a team where once they get a goal and they get the momentum going, they can be very difficult to contain. Real Madrid definitely were relying on Mbappe. Mbappe missed that penalty. And shortly after that, Mohamed Salah started causing trouble on the other side, and it went out for a corner, only for Andy Robertson to cross the ball in, and Cody Gakpo leaped the highest to head home that second goal for Liverpool. Liverpool could have had a third, maybe even a fourth. There were a lot of opportunities, but before those goals before some of those goals, I forgot to mention that Mohamed Salah had actually won a penalty in that second half. Shortly after Mbappe had missed his penalty, Mohamed Salah won a penalty on the other side. And everyone was shocked that Mohamed Salah actually missed his penalty. And in his case, he actually missed the target. He just went for power, and he tried to smash it into the bottom left corner, his bottom left corner of the goal. But unfortunately, he hit it too hard and he sliced it too much. The ball went out wide, and it did make contact with the post on the way out. But that was another turning point for Liverpool. Most players, when they miss a penalty, their head goes down and the morale goes down. But because Liverpool were already in the lead, so, it was something that motivated them to keep pushing for that second goal. And true enough, a few minutes later, it was Cody Gakpo's header that sealed that 2-0 win for Liverpool. Both managers had different opinions and views. I definitely think Real Madrid were not their strongest when they played us this time. But to be fair, even Liverpool, we did have a few players on the bench that could have changed the game. Cody Gakpo started off as a substitute. We didn't use Szoboszlai until very late on in the game. Harvey Elliott is back from injury. Trent Alexander-Arnold was on the bench, and he was an unused substitute. So, and on top of that, just thinking about it, we have Diogo Jota, who's coming back after his injury, long layoff. So we do have a pretty strong team, considering the balance of youth and experience. So Liverpool might be a force to be reckoned with this season. The good news as well for the result for Liverpool, that takes Liverpool to the top of the Champions League table. Um, so Liverpool are top of the Champions League table after playing 5 games and winning all 5. They are the only team in the Champions League at the moment with a 100% record. Played 5, won 5, and a positive 11 goal difference. 15 points accumulated. I think Liverpool only have 3 more games to play, and it pretty much secures their place in the top 8 for guaranteed qualification to the knockout stage. A team in second is Inter Milan, and in third is Barcelona. Um, Real Madrid, in that case, are all the way down in 24th position with just 2 wins but 3 losses. So Real Madrid definitely needed the result a lot more than Liverpool. Liverpool were already top before this game started, so it was definitely something Real Madrid needed to respond to. There's a lot of talk about a little bit of, um, unhappiness in the locker room between several players, and team chemistry and morale is on the low. Um, some players are not getting along. Was evident that Kylian Mbappe was very much neglected by some of his teammates. I think Jude Bellingham and several other players were not very, very friendly with him. Probably also frustrated because of the result. We think that Real Madrid might be having a bit of a crisis season with some of the injuries they've had. Regardless, Real Madrid is Real Madrid. They're expected to win every game and win everything every season. Liverpool, we expect the same, but we are having a really good season at the moment, and I am not going to complain about that. So that win makes it puts Liverpool in a strong position where they are pretty much guaranteed a place in the knockout stage. I do believe there's 3 more games in this Champions League league stage, and with Liverpool already being top, I think they would be able to rest up some players and use these Champions League games as an opportunity to mix it up and get other players game time. So that was an outstanding result for Liverpool, and that gave the team significant amount of morale boost and momentum heading into this weekend's game. So, and that makes us switch up to the next part of the show. We are going to look at the preview for Liverpool versus Manchester City. What do we expect? What do we think might happen? Who's going to play? Who's not going to play? We'll talk about all that after a very short break. Talk to y'all in a couple minutes. All right, welcome back, guys, to Austin's Anfield Angle, Episode 7, and we are heading into the final section of today's show. We are going to look at the preview to this weekend's big title clash between Manchester City and Liverpool. Liverpool playing at Anfield, being favorites, given the form they've had. They've only lost once all season, and they have got a record of 15 wins so far. So extremely well done for Liverpool. Sorry, I meant 15 wins in all competitions. Liverpool have, I believe, 10 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss out of the 12 games they've played. They are currently on 31 points. They are in first place, and Manchester City, I believe, have dropped to third place right now after Brighton had picked up some extra points. So we'll verify that. But So yes, Brighton are in second place after drawing 1-1 with Southampton earlier today. So that means Manchester City are on 23 points in third place. They have won 7, drawn 2, and lost 3. Liverpool in first place won 10, drawn 1, lost 1, and with 31 points on the board. Having said that, Liverpool being at Anfield, obviously they will be favorites, but this Manchester City team is a team that cannot be underwritten at all. I know there's a lot of conversations about Rodri not being there. They've had multiple injuries, but we have seen this happen before. Jurgen Klopp, when he was managing Liverpool in the previous seasons, there were times when Liverpool sat on top with 10 points clear or 7 points clear, and Manchester City would go on this winning run of 15, 16, 18 games consecutively, and they would just have the momentum and they will snatch that title. So I do not want to underestimate Manchester City. Yes, we are sitting pretty at the top. We do have 8 points clear of them, of the team, of them as well. So that would mean we should not underestimate Manchester City. Yes, they've had some injury problems, but so do we. I think that Manchester City will be hoping and wanting a result out of this. So they might come out hungrier between the two. Liverpool have had a really good few months, and especially this last week with the win over Real Madrid, they must be absolutely buzzing. But like I said, Manchester City are a dangerous team. Pep Guardiola, he's a very, very intelligent tactician. He will have something set up, and he will have a strategy or a plan to come away from Anfield with something. Whether that is all 3 points or a draw, he will definitely make it difficult for Liverpool. So, regardless, I still believe and I predict that Liverpool will win the game by 2-1. Maybe Mohamed Salah and maybe Luis Diaz getting on the score sheet. And maybe Kevin De Bruyne coming back and scoring 1 goal for Manchester City. So that would be my prediction. But let's get into some more talking points about the upcoming game. So first and foremost, and we have to talk about this, Manchester City's weak center midfield, given that Rodri is out injured. They did have some players that could step in before. Previous seasons, they had people like Fernandinho, and they had Kovacic, and a few of the other guys, Calvin Phillips. It looks like they've relied heavily on Rodri in the past couple of seasons, and the person who would deputize in that role would be maybe Kovacic, but he's injured as well, I believe. So just some statistics here, for a team that really dominates possession, you would be really surprised to know that in the last 10 matches without Rodri, Manchester City have given up 17 shots following quick counterattacks. In comparison, they have allowed opponents to shoot. They had allowed opponents to shoot just 7 shots from fast breaks in the last 10 matches when Rodri was there. In the Premier League, only 3 teams have allowed their opponents more chances from such counterattack situations than City. And those teams are West Ham, Brighton, and Crystal Palace. So what I'm trying to point out here is the key weapon for Liverpool that has been so effective this season, is the fact that they have a very powerful counterattack. How does that counterattack happen? You have Kelleher that plays the ball out with his feet. You've got players like Van Dijk, Konate, Robertson, Trent, who would receive and are very good passes on the ball. Very good off-the-ball movement as well. Once that transitions into the center of the field, you've got players like Ryan Gravenberch, who would be able to do a very quick turn and accelerate into space, and this will then generate the 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 uh, the momentum to push forward and for the wingers and attackers to push into the penalty box. This has been something Liverpool have been doing very, very well. It's been a mix of a Klopp and Slot tactic, because Jurgen Klopp was very heavy metal, was all the time heavy, hard, push forward, attack, attack, attack. Slot has this ability where he's taught the team how to control the ball a little bit more, stay composed with it, and make their decisions and choices on when they believe they should really penetrate the defense and attack and try to score. So, having said that, it's going to be a situation of Liverpool's strength, which is a counterattack, versus Manchester City's weakness against these fast breaks. And without Rodri to shield that defense, Manchester City haven't been, a quarter of the team they have demonstrated to be in previous seasons. So that's the first thing we touched on. Liverpool's counterattacks against City's weak midfield without Rodri, right? The next one is the Manchester City right flank versus Liverpool's somewhat weak left flank. Andy Robertson, we talked about him earlier. He has not been in the best of form. He's given away 2 penalties in the last 2 games. He's looked a little bit jaded. He's looked a little bit like his legs are starting to go. He's looking a little tired, a little fatigued. And he's definitely not looking like the same player he was a few seasons ago under Klopp. Is this a managerial issue? I don't think so. I think Andy Robertson is one of those players who has given his everything for so many years. And I just think that over time, these players, it's the wear and tear, the intensity of the game. He still plays for Scotland in international games, so there's so many games that these players played now. He is just, one of those great left backs that had dominated the game for a few years, and now, based on his age, he's coming to a point where he can't cope with some of the quicker players as he used to. Having said that, Costas Tsimikas is not an option for Liverpool this time. He has an ankle injury, so he will miss the game. But the weak link at this point in time will be Andy Robertson. Manchester City will be looking to use Savinho on that right flank, who has not been the most influential player, but he does have pace and he is a good dribbler. He will not be afraid to take on Andy Robertson. The other thing about that left flank about Liverpool is a little bit of a disconnect between Diaz and Robertson. They're really good players, and don't get me wrong, they play very well. But as a defensive unit, when they're always focusing on the counterattack, sometimes they don't drop in time. And so that might turn out to be a little bit of a weak link for Liverpool. We don't know, but it could certainly be a little bit of a challenge. The next part I would look at is definitely the team chance creation and conversion rates for the teams this season. Manchester City have got high quality shots and high quality conversions. Based on this graph that I'm seeing on PremierLeague.com, and Liverpool have a significantly lower quality of shots and low conversion rate. So basically, what the statistic is trying to say is that Manchester City have been able to create chances. They do have the second most goals scored in the Premier League this season with 24, and they've recorded the third highest conversion to goals of 23.6. Arne Slot's men have had the joint second highest conversion goals per shot in the league, just behind Brentford. So it's a little bit confusing looking at this statistic, but I think the key takeaway here is City have conceded, 13 goals in the last 4 games, um, and they do convert their chances when they create. It's just that they're leaking more in the back than they're scoring more in the front. So that's really been the difference. Liverpool have created very few chances, but the few chances that they do create, they score, and they don't concede. So that's definitely a key takeaway there. Now moving on to key players and potential absences. The last time Ruben Diaz played for Man City in the league was the last time they won a game, which was in October. Wow, I never knew that. So Diaz is definitely a very, very good defender. I think he was an unused sub in City's 3-3 draw against Feyenoord in Champions League. So he will be coming back, which will be a boost to the champions. Kevin De Bruyne is definitely fit and ready to play. I said Savinho will be back. You will expect Gundogan in midfield. Jeremy Doku is back in training. He may or may not make it to the game. Regardless, Manchester City are missing Rodri, and that's a key position. But with Diaz in the team, they do play significantly better. A very good statistic here is with Diaz, Manchester City have played 126 games. They've won 96 of them with Diaz in the team. That's a 76.2% win percentage. When Diaz is not in the team, they've played 36 games, and out of the 36, they've won 22, which means that's only a win percentage of 61. It is a difference. It's not the biggest difference, and of course, the volume of games Diaz has played and not played is significantly a significant variance, basically. So we can't really look at that statistic too thoroughly, but it definitely does play a role. So that's Man City. Moving on to Liverpool. Unfortunately, Connor Bradley picked up a hamstring injury against the Champions League game against Real Madrid. He will miss the game. He will be out for a few weeks. It doesn't sound too serious, but it will be at least 3 weeks out. Good news on the other hand is Trent Alexander-Arnold is back in full fitness and full training. He will be available for the game against Manchester City. We do know that Ibrahima Konate picked up a knee injury very, very late on in the game after a clash with Endrick in that game against Real Madrid. He is fine. There was some concern that it would be an MCL injury. I believe it's been confirmed that it's not, and it could potentially be something else, but let's see. Ibrahima Konate has been very, very important for Liverpool this season. He has played really well. He's been part of that brick wall that he forms between him and Van Dijk. He will be missed. I definitely think he's an excellent player. Joe Gomez will most likely deputize in that center back role. It will be a big game for him to come in for sure, but I'm confident he's not the youngest, but he's very experienced as a player too. He's got good pace as well. So Joe Gomez stepping into center back. Mohamed Salah will definitely be playing on that right wing, causing trouble. He loves playing against Manchester City. He's got a fantastic record of scoring 7 goals and adding 4 assists in 14 games against Man City in the Premier League. Erling Haaland, on the other hand, has a very poor record against Liverpool, scoring just 1 goal in 3 games. And that was at the Etihad. This game is at Anfield, so most likely Liverpool might have a better chance. And this is all just statistics, right, based from a mental standpoint. Ilkay Gundogan, he will be playing for sure. He's got a better scoring record at Anfield. He's the one that scored for Man City a few times, but let's hope he does not, right? Alisson Becker is on the right track to full fitness, but he definitely will not be available for this game. So Coleman Kelleher to be in goal. We will definitely have Harvey Elliott is back on the bench. Diego Jota is available once again. Tsimikas is probably out. Curtis Jones is available in midfield. He might get swapped out with Dominic Szoboszlai. McAllister, Gravenberg, all going to be playing very much the same team that we saw against Real Madrid. So, again, there is some advantage here for Liverpool, especially being the home team at Anfield. And like I said, my prediction is Liverpool to win by 2-1. I expect Liverpool to take advantage of that midfield with Rodri not being there. They will push hard for a counterattack, absorb City's pressure, penetrate through the middle, use Gravenberch's pace to turn on that center midfielders, get McAllister's vision, get Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai to power through that midfield and burst into the box. Get players like Salah, Diaz, and Nunez to get on the end of crosses and shots. So, my prediction, Liverpool 2-1. And I think that pretty much wraps up our session for this Friday night in Austin, Texas. So that game against Liverpool against Manchester City, it is at 10 a.m. Sunday morning, Austin Central Time Zone. Liverpool, the Liverpool Supporters Club will be watching the game in Austin at BD Riley's at Mueller. That is an Irish pub. They will be playing the game live. A lot of people will be there. Please come out and watch the game if you can. Austin's Anfield Angle, we will be there as well. We will be talking to some of the fans before the game starts. We will reach out and, probably put up a poster or something. You will definitely see a little more activity from our Spotify account and our Instagram pages. So, look out for that game and tune in. Check your local listings. Don't forget to tune in. That is a big, big game for us. And let's all hope it goes well for us and Liverpool win by many goals, right? So that brings us to the end of our show. So once again, for those of you celebrating, happy Thanksgiving. And for those of you who are not, hope you're looking forward to the weekend. And we're all very, very excited for this big game. And we just want to say a very special thank you to everyone who's been tuning in and supporting us on our Instagram, Spotify, Threads, and YouTube as well. So once again, everyone, thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning into Austin's Anfield Angle. And we will speak to you again next week. Have a good night, everyone.